The ancient Greeks didn't just worship gods. They created an entire universe of divine beings, each with their own powers, personalities, and very human flaws. Before there were gods, there was chaos. From chaos emerged the first primordial deities, Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky. Together they had children, known as the Titans. But here's where it gets messy. Uranus was a terrible father who imprisoned some of his children deep in the earth. Gaia was not having it, so she convinced her son Cronus to overthrow his dad. And overthrow he did, claiming power for himself. But Cronus had a fatal flaw: paranoia. Fearing a prophecy that his own children would overthrow him, Cronus swallowed each of his offspring whole the moment they were born. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon disappeared into their father's stomach. But his wife Rhea had enough. When her sixth child was born, she hid the infant Zeus in a cave on Crete and gave Cronus a stone wrapped in blankets instead. The king of the Titans, none the wiser, swallowed it whole. Zeus grew strong in secret. When he returned as an adult, he forced Cronus to regurgitate his siblings. Together, they waged a 10-year war called the Titanomachy against Cronus and the Titans. Zeus and his siblings emerged victorious. The Titans were cast into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, and the Olympians claimed their throne. Zeus became king of the gods, ruler of the sky and thunder. His symbol, the lightning bolt, became the most feared weapon in existence. Zeus was far from perfect, though. He was notorious for his countless affairs with goddesses, nymphs, and mortal women, which constantly enraged his wife Hera and created dozens of demigod children. Poseidon, lord of the seas. Zeus's brother, Poseidon, received dominion over all the world's waters. With his trident, he could create earthquakes, summon storms, and calm the seas. Poseidon was temperamental and vengeful. When insulted by the hero Odysseus, he made the warrior's journey home take 10 agonizing years. Sailors would grade at Poseidon before every voyage, hoping to avoid his wrath, because nobody wanted to deal with an angry sea god. Hades. The third brother, Hades, received what seemed like the worst lot. Ruler of the Underworld, the realm of the dead. Hades gets a bad rap as the villain, but he was actually one of the most chill gods. He ruled the Underworld, sure, but he wasn't evil. He was just doing his job. Everyone dies eventually, and someone had to manage the afterlife. Every mortal soul eventually came to his domain, and he judged them fairly. He rarely left the Underworld, avoided drama, and only really made headlines when he kidnapped Persephone, which, yeah, not great. But in Greek mythology, that practically makes him a saint. Hera, the queen of the gods. Hera, both Zeus's sister and wife, ruled as queen of the gods and goddess of marriage and family. The irony was painful. Her own marriage was plagued by Zeus's infidelity. Hera was vengeful, but usually directed her fury at Zeus's lovers and illegitimate children rather than at Zeus himself. Despite her jealousy, Hera was a powerful protector of women in childbirth and legitimate marriages. She was powerful, proud, and not someone you wanted as an enemy. Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and warfare. She sprang fully formed from Zeus's head after he swallowed her mother. Yes, Greek mythology is weird. She won Athens as her patron city by offering the olive tree, a gift of peace and prosperity that the citizens valued more than Poseidon's saltwater spring. The Parthenon, one of history's greatest temples, was built in her honor. Athena was a virgin goddess who valued intellect over passion. She mentored heroes like Odysseus and Perseus, guiding them with wisdom rather than brute strength. Warriors prayed to her for strategy, and she rarely lost. Apollo. Apollo, son of Zeus and the titan Leto, was perhaps the most beautiful of all gods. He ruled over the sun, music, poetry, prophecy, healing, and plague. Basically, he was the overachiever of Olympus. Each day, Apollo drove his golden chariot across the sky, bringing sunlight to the world. He was cultured and refined, but he also had a dark side. His arrows could bring plague, and he wasn't great at romance, despite being gorgeous. The nymph Daphne literally turned into a tree to avoid him, a reminder that even gods couldn't always get what they wanted. Artemis. Artemis, Bowen's twin sister, was goddess of the hunt, the moon, and wild animals. She was fiercely independent and sworn to her eternal virginity. Leading her band of virgin huntresses, Artemis roamed the forests and mountains. She was protective of young women and children, but merciless to those who offended her. When the hunter Actaeon accidentally saw her bathing, she transformed him into a stag and had him torn apart by his own hounds. Don't mess with Artemis. Ares, the god of war. Ares embodied the brutal, violent aspects of war. Unlike Athena's strategic warfare, Ares reveled in bloodshed and chaos. Surprisingly, Ares wasn't particularly popular in Greek worship. The Greeks valued tactical warfare over mindless violence, and even Zeus admitted his distaste for his warlike son. But he represented the harsh reality of war, and soldiers still called on him for courage. Aphrodite. Aphrodite is the goddess of love, beauty, and desire. Her beauty was so overwhelming that Zeus married her to Hephaestus, the ugliest god, to prevent war among the gods who desired her. But Aphrodite took many lovers, mortal and divine, including a famous affair with Ares. She sparked the Trojan War when Paris judged her the fairest goddess, and she rewarded him with Helen of Sparta, the most beautiful mortal woman. Love and beauty, it turned out, could be as destructive as any war. Hephaestus. Hephaestus is the god of fire, metalworking, and craftsmanship, and was the only Olympian who wasn't conventionally beautiful. But what he lacked in looks, he made up for in skill. Hephaestus created all the gods' weapons and armor, including Zeus's thunderbolts, Poseidon's trident, and Achilles' legendary armor. His forges lay beneath volcanoes, where he worked with the Cyclops. Despite his wife Aphrodite's infidelity, Hephaestus remained essential to Olympus, proof that value comes from ability, not appearance. Hermes. Hermes, son of Zeus, was the messenger of the gods, god of travelers, thieves, commerce, and trickery. With his winged sandals, he could travel between the mortal world, Olympus, and even the underworld. He was clever and mischievous. He stole Apollo's cattle as a baby. Hermes also guided souls to the underworld, making him one of the few gods comfortable in all realms. Demeter. Demeter controlled the harvest, agriculture, and fertility of the earth. Her greatest joy was her daughter, Persephone, and her greatest sorrow was losing her. When Hades kidnapped Persephone, Demeter's grief was so profound that she refused to let anything grow. The earth became barren and humanity faced starvation until Zeus intervened. Eventually, a compromise was reached. Persephone would spend half the year in the underworld and half with her mother, Dionysus. Dionysus, god of wine, theater, and religious ecstasy, was the youngest Olympian. Born from Zeus's thigh after his mortal mother Semele was destroyed by Zeus's true form. His followers, the Maenads, would enter states of ecstatic frenzy during his festivals. Dionysus represented liberation from social constraints, the joy of wine, and the transformative power of theater. He traveled the world spreading viticulture and his worship, sometimes punishing those who rejected him, the minor gods. Beyond the Olympians, there were countless other deities. Hecate, goddess of magic. Nike, goddess of victory. Hebe, goddess of youth, and many more. Each controlled different aspects of life and nature, creating a rich tapestry of divine influence over every corner of existence. The Greek gods weren't just religious figures. They were explanations for the unexplainable. Thunder, Zeus is angry. Earthquakes, Poseidon's in a mood. Bad harvest, you upset Demeter. But more than that, these stories explored human nature through divine drama. Love, jealousy, ambition, revenge. The gods felt everything we feel, just on a cosmic scale. The gods may have been immortal, but it's their stories, flawed, passionate, and utterly human, that truly achieved immortality. Thanks for joining this mythological journey. Until next time, may the gods be ever in your favor.